Jezebel is a name that sparks strong reactions, and for a good reason. She's one of the most notorious women in the Bible, a queen whose actions influenced an entire nation and left a legacy of wickedness. But who was Jezebel, and why does her story still matter today? Let's dive into her life, her influence, and the lessons we can draw from her story. Jezebel was the daughter of Ethbaal, the king of the Sidonians, a people known for their worship of Baal, a false god. She married Ahab, the king of Israel, becoming the queen. Her marriage to Ahab was more than just a union of two people. It was a union of two cultures and two religions, with Jezebel bringing her pagan beliefs into Israel. This set the stage for conflict between the worship of God and the worship of Baal. Jezebel's most infamous actions revolve around her relentless efforts to turn Israel away from God and toward Baal worship. She didn't just passively practice her religion, she actively promoted it, building temples for Baal and supporting hundreds of prophets dedicated to this false god. Her influence over Ahab led him to follow her in these practices, which brought severe consequences to Israel. One of Jezebel's most shocking acts was orchestrating the murder of Naboth, a righteous man who owned a vineyard that Ahab coveted. When Naboth refused to sell his inheritance, Jezebel falsely accused him of blasphemy and had him executed, seizing the vineyard for Ahab. This showed her ruthless nature and complete disregard for God's laws. Jezebel's significance lies in her role as a symbol of rebellion against God. Her actions were not just personal sins, they had national implications. By leading Israel into idolatry, she caused the people to stray from their covenant with God. This resulted in God's judgment on Israel, including drought, famine, and eventually the downfall of her entire household. Jezebel's story takes place during the reign of King Ahab in the northern kingdom of Israel, around the 9th century BC. Her influence spanned many years, and her actions were central to some of the most dramatic events in Israel's history, including the confrontation between Elijah, a prophet of God, and the prophets of Baal on Mount Carmel. Jezebel's life ended as dramatically as she lived it. After Ahab's death, Jezebel continued to exert influence through her son, Ahaziah, but her reign of terror would not last. God's judgment finally caught up with her. Jehu, a military commander anointed by God to overthrow Ahab's dynasty, came to Jezreel, where Jezebel lived. In her last act of defiance, Jezebel tried to maintain her regal appearance, but Jehu ordered her to be thrown out of a window. She died a gruesome death, with her body trampled by horses and eaten by dogs, fulfilling a prophecy made by Elijah. In many ways, Jezebel can be seen as a type of Antichrist. She represents the ultimate opposition to God's will, using her power and influence to lead people away from the Lord. Her story serves as a warning about the dangers of turning away from God and the consequences of aligning with those who do. Jezebel's spirit is often referred to when discussing individuals or movements that seduce people away from true worship of God. Her legacy is a reminder that no matter how powerful or influential someone may be, God's judgment is sure, and His will cannot be thwarted. Jezebel's story is more than just a tale of one woman's wickedness. It's a powerful reminder of the consequences of idolatry, the danger of compromising with evil, and the certainty of God's justice. Her life and death serve as a stark contrast to the blessings that come from following God's ways. As we reflect on Jezebel's life, it's a call to examine our own hearts, ensuring that we remain faithful to God, avoiding the path that leads to destruction.